say a prayer for us, Mr. Lynch? Pledge? Or a prayer, I'm sorry. Prayer is pledge. The prayer, okay. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for everything that you've given us and how you've blessed are important, and try to make this county a better place for all citizens. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. All right, Ms. Quinn, you want to say the pledge?
This flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we'll go ahead and call the roll, and then we'll just move into the presentation. Mr. Secretary?
Mr. Barry Bradley.
Here.
Mr. Roger Smith. Bruce Quinn.
Here.
Brian Lynch.
Here.
Jim Monahan. Michael Williams. John Janung. Wally Gilliam.
We don't have a quorum, so I guess we'll just move on.
Mr. Chairman's going to wait to approve the minutes till next meeting for the.
Absolutely. We'll wait until we have a quorum. We'll approve the minutes next meeting. And since we don't have an agenda to approve, we'll just move straight on into the presentation. We'll go to our Mr. 911 Director.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. My name is Mike Guthrie. I'm the Director of the Emergency Communications District. Just a little bit of a background. There's an Emergency Communications District and an Emergency Communications Center. So we are two separate entities. The center is the public safety answering point for the county. So that's where your 911 calls, your admin calls go to, and then those are dispatched out to public safety throughout the county. The district, we are responsible primarily for addressing, mapping, and then the IT support of the center. So just, we work closely together, but that's kind of our background. So what I want to talk to you today about is just a little bit about our addressing, basically why we exist and why that's important, and just maybe answer a few questions that you might have in reference to addressing and anything else related. So the district, we were formed in 1986 in Sumner County, basically just to facilitate the intended use of the 911 system. You had your basic 911 back in the day where your landlines would call 911 and they knew your phone number. And we moved on to enhanced where we got an address and a phone number for your landline. Currently we're in the next gen phase where we're getting, phase 2 wireless calls where if you call 911 from a cell phone, then we've got your telephone number and in most cases your location. So, but why is that important for addressing? Well, because we keep up with all the addressing in the county, that goes to a database to the state and then goes on to another place called Entrado, which basically houses all of the and the call routing for your 911 calls. So the addressing is extremely important. Whether it's an address point, a center line, or a roadway, to determine the closest possible location when a cell phone call, when a landline call, when a VoIP call comes in to the center, then we know where to send those, we know where to direct those calls and know who to send out to those calls. And then, of course, NextGen also has text and 911. So the ECD is primarily responsible for addressing street name approval throughout the county. Initially, all of your municipalities and your counties are responsible for addressing. However, by statute 786-127, that can be given to the districts within the state of Tennessee. And all of the cities within Sumner County and the county have given that authority to the ECD. Makes things much simpler because you have one point that will issue all the addresses. You have one point that's going to review and potentially approve the street names across the county. It's pretty important so we don't duplicate street names. Again, we have a consolidated dispatch center, so all of our emergency and non-emergency calls are coming in there, and we want to limit the time that it takes to find out where you are and send help out, so we don't want those street names duplicated. We issue addresses for single-family homes, townhomes, HPRs, apartments, businesses, and utilities. I don't think that there are many apartment complexes that you're going to be dealing with out in the county, or I would think many HPRs, or probably not even many townhomes. But certainly businesses, utilities, and single-family homes are our primary www.sumnercountycan.gov. It's very simple for somebody to go along through there and request an address, whether, again, that's for a single-family home, townhome, development, whatever. Utility addresses, we get those pretty often. If a development comes in and they want a nice fancy sign at the beginning of the subdivision and they want that lit up, well, they've got to have an electric meter, so we have to issue an address for that. Let's say a mile down into the subdivision, they want a big fancy fountain, so they've got to have a water source and another electric meter. Well, we have to issue another address for that. So because every meter has to have an address for any utility. I don't care if it's Cumberland Electric, Gallatin, NES, or who, but they want an address for every meter. So, and I guess that's so they can track that. And, it's not like they're sending a bill to that address, but they have to have some point to reference that for the billing later on, and for services. Street name approval, we have a form there. You can just click on it, and you get this form, and you can put on there as many names as you want. And we do recommend that when people ask for street names, that if you only need 2 street names, put 5 or 6 on there, because we're probably going to deny a couple of them anyway. And we turn around these addresses pretty quickly. If it's just 1 or 2 addresses, we're probably getting those back in an hour. If it's a subdivision, probably take us a couple of days to do that, depending on the size of the subdivision. Sorry about that. We'll get back to my PowerPoint. We issue addresses based on the location of the driveway most of the time. So across the county, in the city, you're going to have a driveway, you're going to have houses that's right up next to the road. So it's not such a big deal there. However, we have the sheriff's office, we have EMS, and we have EMA that are going to be responding to addresses in the cities and out in the counties. So we want to make that consistent across the county. That we give you an address based upon the driveway location. In the cities, you might have a corner lot. We'll issue 2 addresses for those when you request an address. And both of those are temporary. They're contingent. So because you may not know where the driveway is going to land initially, or you may think, okay, the driveway is going to be best on street A, and then they build a house, and for whatever reason, we've had this happen, they decide to put the driveway on street B. So we just go ahead and give every corner lot 2 temporary addresses, and once the driveway is established, we go back and we just erase the other. Exceptions, would be townhomes, for instance, where they might be a rear loading townhome or a house or something like that, and maybe the front door is right up against the road. There might be exceptions to giving driveway locations. Giving addresses based on the driveway location. Roads, developers can submit requests to our office for road names. Again, we don't duplicate any road names, and because we want every road name to be different. Even if you give a different road type or a suffix, we're not going to approve that. So if you have, Guthrie Road that goes down the middle of your subdivision, and then at the end you've got a little cul-de-sac that might have 5 houses on it, well, we're not going to give you Guthrie Court. We just don't duplicate those. So. Some developments in the county, usually in the county, have difficult driveways to navigate, and I might be going a little bit too far into what this committee would be looking at. This has been addressed with development services planning. We have just found that when people will cut up lots out in the county that maybe don't want to give 5 or 10 lots out off of Highway 25 or wherever, and they have a gravel driveway that's going to access all these, and it's just the conditions are not suitable for public safety. So we have gone back and we've asked that any access point that's going to have 3 or more houses located on that access point, let's just name that a private road. Or if the county wants to approve a public road, let's do that. But when you start having 3 or more houses on one access point, it becomes a little more difficult. And I'll just show you a couple of pictures of what I'm talking about. So this was done before I took over the office. This is 593 Petey Branch Road. You can see there are about 10 addresses that have A or J or whatever out through there. And it's awful. So let's assume for a minute that family goes out and they want to, family here at G, let's say they have an ailing family member or something, they want to put up an ADU out there. So I have to give an address for that for 911 purposes. So how do I give an address between G and H? It's not possible. That's one reason why we want to get away from all the letters, and we want to have unique addresses for every point that we call them at. So at this point, this is something that I would have said, hey, you need to make that a private road or get permission to have a public road out there, and let's have unique addresses for every lot. Here's another one, 1843 Garrison Branch. Same thing. We want to get away from those letters. It just makes things much cleaner and the potential for expansion in the future. This is really pre-private court. This is Highway 25. We just did this one a few months ago. We were presented with the plan, and they said, hey, we want 6 lots out here on this piece of land. And you can see the center line up there where it says, Roney Creek Private Court. That was going to be the access point off Highway 25. So we went back and said, no, we really want you to have a private road out there. And they complied. No issues there at all. So then we were able to give unique addresses to each lot that was presented. A couple more things here. This is Keytown Farms off Keytown Road. You can see the gravel drive that accesses, I don't know, 10 or 12, no, more than that, 13 or 14 lots out there. This is a pretty steep hill going up on the picture on the right, and you can just imagine an ambulance or a fire truck trying to navigate that. So I think some consideration would need to be given to the quality of the roadway or access point that accesses these lots. Here's another one, 1500 block of Garrison Branch. By the way, they've done an excellent job of marking which way you go at 1537 and 1541, which is one request that if there's anything you can sink your teeth into there, that you would require new homes to have a clearly marked address where public safety can see it.
You stole my question.
Yes, I did. So on the picture on the right, that's a 180-degree turn. An ambulance might not have too bad of an issue turning there, but you get an engine up there, they're not going to make that turn. At the very top up there on the right, that's about a 90-degree turn and a big drop-off on the left side of the road. My car with four-wheel drive was okay getting up there, but there's no way in an emergency a fire truck's going to get up there. Same thing here. Yeah, you would think about that. Normally, you're just thinking, oh, this is a pretty piece of land up here, but you don't think about the worst-case scenario when you need those emergency services. So here's another example, 1843 Garrison Branch, just a tight turn there. It was a lot tighter than the previous picture that I showed. This is Roney Creek Private Court. They have since gone back and paved this, so it's much more navigable, but there was no way that I could get up that in a Ford Explorer without putting it in all-wheel drive. So I know the ambulance or the fire truck's not going to get up there. So the quality of the roads is one thing to consider. And that's it. Here's our map there. This is just kind of what we put out to our first responders to make it easier for them to navigate, to find the location that they're going to. I think it's very important that we have clearly defined addresses, we don't duplicate street names, but also for the things that you might be able to consider is having those markers to where public safety can see those quickly and not have to guess, hey, where is 1843 compared to 1862 or something. So.
Well, I'll start with a couple of questions I've got. It kind of includes you and Marshall here. What is the requirements for new construction as far as displaying name drag? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm in this industry and I still don't know.
Yeah, it's required for new construction, and the brush strokes have to be so wide, and the numbers have to be so tall. They have to be posted on the mailbox right front of the public right away. But there are so many houses that don't have addresses that, there's a need to send out notifications that
Well, yeah, and
that's a requirement, in my opinion.
I agree with you. We just need to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into that in a minute. But on this, these entrances that are outside subdivisions and the water features, now they've got addresses. Is there any? And the reason I'm asking this, I'll get to in a minute. Are they required to display that address anywhere? Is this something that's in there now? Because if they're not, then we got to carve out an exclusion somewhere if we're going to require that all the addresses be posted. I'm just kind of thinking ahead. Wouldn't you think, Steve? That
Yes, I'm just going to guess here that, if it's not habit, there's nobody on the premises, so you don't need to have an address posted anywhere. That's my guess. I'm not for certain, though, on that.
You're exactly right. Look, really, my main focus of an address is for 911 purposes,
Yes.
right? not going to automatically dial 911. There are telephone boxes in some subdivisions. 5 Coach Trace is the first one I think about. It's a gated subdivision, and there's a telephone number that's associated with that gate. So technically, someone could call 911 from that. But for utility address, no.
I just didn't know if it would be something that would be beneficial, or if we had to specifically carve that out and whatever you come up with. And talk about that, how would this be enforced? Let's say we create a mandate, or I don't know, we try to get all the public involved in getting all these addresses out there. How do we enforce it if they don't?
Well, Todd and I had a conversation before the meeting, and the thing that we would like to do is send out notifications like every 3 years or something, reminding people that it's a county requirement. As far as going and enforcing it, that would we want to let them know that it's a requirement now. That needs to be done.
Public safety.
Yeah, it'd be enforced just like any other health and safety standard, like, jump cars or,
Have to go through the whole judicial process of, okay.
That's how I would think it'd be handled.
And my final question, in order to push the public to do this, to get everybody on board, what kind of a budget is in place to create this campaign, to go out here and encourage people, to help those people that for some reason or another don't have the means to be able to put numbers on their mailbox or their house or whatever's required? Is there a budget in place for this?
So from the ECD perspective, there are specific things that we shall not spend money on. One of them is markers. So we're out there.
So we need a resolution, or we need the county commission to get involved and create a budget for this.
Well, we've been in conversation with the local post office too, and they're willing to help to a certain degree whatever they can. Right now, we're not sure what that is, but they think it's a great idea, and they want to support it. What kind of support right now, I don't know, but they're going to participate in this.
Well, I personally, I like it. I think it's much needed. Honestly, it's a big deal.
Are we sure we want to pay for that? Where I came from before I moved here, the city actually created a thing where you were required to have your address numbers posted and prominently, and if you didn't, you could get a ticket of some kind, right? How much does it cost them to go out and for their one property, go get some numbers, put them on a board and stick them on a tree or something, right? But when you times that by all the places that you'd be responsible for paying for, okay, there's a big difference. It's a small.
No, I'm talking about a budget as far as sending information and getting information to the public.
Oh, that, I thought you were for putting up the signs. I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's what I get for coming in late.
No, I'm
But anyway, well, for the other thing, if that ever comes up, make them pay for the numbers.
yeah. It's a big county, there's a lot of people, and getting it out is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
One thing that we did put in the resolution is what Mike said is about directional signs. I think it's a great idea, Mike. Not only do you need an address out front if you're going in a private gravel road and there may be 8 houses on it and the road splits 3 times, you don't know which road to take, but if you had a directional sign showing this way, then I think that's a great idea. I like it. I agree. Can incorporate that in there.
And we do tell people in situations like that, hey, if you have this private drive that's going to be going up and then splitting off, then we recommend that wherever it splits, that you put some sort of a marker there to point which way your address goes.
Yeah.
But there again, there's nothing really that makes sense.
Do you have any data on how many houses or how many properties would be out of compliance right now? Like, can you keep track of that?
So we don't keep track of it. If we happen to go out and do a site visit for something, but it just, it's crazy to say, but in different parts of the county, it's different. You get the more really rural areas, and it's a little worse, but, in other areas, it's not so bad. Okay. But no doubt it is.
It would be great if we did somehow or another start, possibly, if it's possible, to track some of that. So we've got some hardcore figures to fall back on, because everybody, when we get into these things, wants to see the facts and the data. So, I don't know if that's feasible, if that's something, you guys can keep track of, but it'd be good to have, I think.
Maybe make it a requirement for a real estate transaction. If they don't
in the same post box every day.
That's a great point, Todd.
But Marshall, we really didn't get that cooperation. It was like, hey, we'll help you so you can get the postal, the little piece for 8 cents a piece or whatever it's gonna cost, but we're not gonna ask our guys who are delivering mail to deliver this into every unmarked post office, post box, which I was hoping it looked like. They did not. So it's come back on us a little bit to do that.
Which I figured probably as much as it would. But, I mean, I think it's very doable, very worthwhile, and, I mean, I can only imagine what a nightmare it is for those guys out there trying to figure it out when you're in a temp situation. You know, if they can't find the house next to you, and I'm next to me and I'm in trouble, but that affects me, so I think it's a great thing. Brian, I know you've got some.
No, that's all.
Really? Anybody else? Anything to add to that?
You talked about utility addresses, so exactly what is that, Mike, utility address?
So it's just, if somebody needs to put a meter out for something that's not associated with a dwelling, so it could just be, like I said, an electrical or a lit up sign at the beginning of the subdivision, or it could be a water tap or a fountain somewhere in the subdivision. So we get a lot of requests from Comcast if they're going to put an electrical box out somewhere or some sort of a junction box or something. They'll want an address for that. So.
Would you like to see utility addresses as part of the requirement of this?
I don't think that would necessarily be important for us. Now, for inspections, I don't know if you have to do any inspections for anything like that, but that may be helpful for you. And, you know, the addresses are still in sequential order, so we're not just randomly picking an address and giving it. It goes along with the rest of the addresses on that road. So if that would help you for location inspection for some reason, then that may be done.
It should be a condition, a certificate of occupancy.
That I agree with. And there's one thing that everybody in this county does, owns a home, has property here, we pay taxes on it every year. So when those tax statements went out, if we put some notices in there, I mean, I think with all the resources we got, this all would be very doable.
That's to the tax.
Yeah, I mean, just a nice note in there, hey, you're not getting tax break, but we would like to see some address. Okay. Anything else, guys?
Well, I got a break point here, since we have a quorum now, I've been adopting an agenda.
Oh, well, I guess we took ahead and approved these minutes and everything.
Yeah, and all that stuff, yeah.
Mike, did you want to stay, or you got somebody you need to stay, or what?
If you all need me to stay, I'm happy to stay, and otherwise, I'll get out of your way. And
I like it. I assume we'll be working together on this in the future somehow or another, and trying to put this together. I think it's very worthwhile.
yeah.
So,
anything that we can contribute, we certainly want to do that. We can try to get you some stats as we see things around the county.
just any little bunch of data that we can say, hey, man, this is this causing an issue because of it. Well, anything you got to kind of back up what we're pushing to do here. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try to put something together for you on that.
Thank you very much.
thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you all.
Appreciate it. Well, Mr. Moonhouse, back up now. I got to act like chairman. So we call this meeting back to order, or to order. We've already done our application, our pledge. Everybody had a chance to read over the minutes from the last meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion made, do I hear a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve our agenda for tonight? Motion. Bruce makes a motion, do I hear a second? Second. Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Did I hear from the public? I have nothing to report. Old business. We're under new business, let's move on to new business, discussion of countywide requirements, we've done that. All right, Marshall, you can get back into this, or Todd, what we were discussing before.
Yeah.
We lost everybody, didn't
I
we?
want to yield the floor to you, and do you know about where we left off last time?
I do. Yeah.
I don't.
I think it's on page 11.
Right,
stuff, in prior pages, like blight and stuff that we wanted to have more discussion
Well, we
about.
had, on page 6, I know we can do blight too if you want to, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, I did read through every last page of this thing, and I made all kinds of notes and suggestions, and just things to bring up to this person, okay? So, I know we talked a lot, well, I'll start with blight, if you don't mind, okay? And there was something, shall we add more to the definitions, such as rental property and stuff. But I was looking at several different, blight definitions and a couple of different places, and there's some things that seem to come up all the time, and I don't know if you didn't want to get this, wordy about it, but, blight in terms of property, hazardous, unattractive, structurally unsafe condition, unkempt landscaping, rundown homes. We can actually break it down into different categories with more specific words for them, and then also deteriorating rental properties.
I think the issue, I don't mean to, but the issue of making it more specific is that you could leave something out that would be otherwise be considered blight, and that's why it's more general. I think that was the idea. Yeah, that was, I didn't.
Well, I mean, but we could have put a such as.
Well, not including but not limited to.
Yes,
whatever.
right, perfect. So, I mean, as many of these things that we want to add, I think, could be useful. And then what did you have? You were at page 6, right? The next one you had? Let me see what you
Yeah, let's see, real quick. Did we decide on what we wanted to do about the, let's see, the days for a permanent basis? Talking about living in a mobile home, camper or whatnot. We had the time frame of 45 consecutive days, and that's considered a permanent basis. Did y'all have a problem with 45 days? That's fine.
Now, go from.
If I come to your house, Barry, and I'm gonna camp out,
see if you're there for
44 days. You my uncle, I'm gonna hang out with Barry, but after about 45 days, am I living there on a permanent basis? Because then your neighbor's gonna go, nah, man, he's not leaving. Todd's, he's either renting him or something.
Well,
And that,
my mind goes to, for example, being in the industry, Tennessee Uniform Landlord Act, Tennessee law determines somebody after 14 days is set up residency. So then I could, so 14 days, consecutive days. So I mean, now you can look at it, 45 days seems like you're being more than generous.
I get the sad story about, hey, my dad has had a stroke, and my son's the only one can help me because I'm too old, and he's coming to help out, and so that's the reality of what I see.
Well, how many days did you say?
14.
Well, 14, I'm just looking at it from, so, I mean, that's kind of, just wherever you want to say that, I think.
Well, what about 14 days, but in approved extenuating circumstances, up to a maximum of 45?
I would say started at 45, and if you've got extenuating circumstances, then you could possibly extend.
I'm always going to have the area to go gray.
Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
up to discretion.
I mean, I don't know.
And at the discretion of the county, right?
Need a cat.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, but there ain't no way to move people out. Let's say I'm mad at you because you moved there, and I'm like, this guy's not agreeing with nothing. I send this up to litigation. We'll have to get a warrant filed. We may get that within a year, maybe not. And then with that time, we get a court day afterwards. We got problems with staffing as far as getting sheriffs out for matters such as that. They're covered up.
Can this be associated in any way with, this might sound awful, but with squatters? I mean, you talk about, here's the primary residence, you talked about in East Hill with his granddad, whatever, got a stroke. Somebody would send a camper and start staying there. I mean, will they, at some point in time, they've been there so long, do they like a squatter, then all of a sudden get rights to,
That's
that's
something,
something,
whether they're saying with the permission of the landlord or not. And that's big.
yeah, that would mean that, well, that means there needs to be all sorts of documentation in it, that they're,
You're right, Brian, that's sort of, that's the thing I don't run into that much. I've had one, and the guy did move out, that's recently, up in Westmoreland, but it's not, as far as percentage of what I do, I don't see that hardly ever. What I do see is a lot of people, and my son, he went through a divorce, and, you know, I don't have no place for him, but he's got this camper, and as soon as he gets a place,
yeah.
and I know it's,
If I came to your house and stayed and received a piece of mail at your house, I've legally set up tenancy, so now you've got to evict me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of ways around that. So,
then Barry's got COVID, so he's not gonna get evicted because.
yeah, I'm sick, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
Landowners getting in
and
trouble
you
with
can't
that.
collect your money from them, so there's a lot of
They send, you know,
Personally,
they get in trouble because they decide to be kind, you know.
I personally have found with the way you've got that stated,
Okay.
at 45, but if everybody else I know, they're,
Okay, I'm just gonna say leave it.
Leave it as is.
45, okay. Yeah.
That's all right.
Should there be an exemption for someone that's building a home on a property? Or
There
they got
already is
contractors
one.
coming in?
Yeah, there is one, and you can live in a camper as long as your house is under construction, 30 days after completion.
So that, start something. So if you're, I'm sorry, go ahead. That's always been department policy, of what you said, but I don't think we've got language for that. I think that language needs to go in there.
as far as permitted for the camper one construction,
Yeah.
oh, I'm 100% on that, you need to be permitted.
It's been department policy for years, but we don't have any
Well,
wording on it.
let's put language for that in the health and, safety. And let's use whatever existing language you've got for permitting.
For what, you gonna permit the camper to be on?
Just like we do now, they come in and sign an affidavit when they get the permit to build a house, that they can live in a temporary travel trailer, motor home, but they have to vacate it 30 days after they get their CO. We can put something similar to that as an add-on addendum to what y'all just talked about.
That's probably a good idea.
What's up next? Structure. I have on there, on page 8, at the very end, it says this term does not include structures built solely for occupation by animals. I think that needs to be deleted because we do barns as accessory structure. I mean, this is my own, cutting my own stuff out. I think we shouldn't have that there. Just delete it.
You're gonna make me cry, I'm proud of you.
Hey, man, you get deep in the weeds with these things.
Yeah,
You
I'm
with me?
100%.
Okay. Yeah. And then I think one y'all were discussing was, these are all definitions. What is the acceptable definition of a yard? And this went back to what are you gonna be responsible for as far as cutting it and whatnot. I think that's what
Yeah, we can cut and deal. See, y'all.
we do. If you got a farm or a big lot, I see everybody doing this without nobody telling them to do it. They cut a big 50-foot swatch around. And you can go down like Cummins Lane, there's 3 or 4 that do that. And then those that like to have it all mowed. It looks nicer and neat when it's all, but they're 5-acre lots and I don't expect that. But I like seeing a little bit of, around the edges. But this right here, this yard, we're just basically talking about what is the, what constitutes a yard. And you may own more, but if we minimize what a yard is, 250 feet, then if I say, hey, you need to cut your grass, and they say, well, I measured it, we've got 250 feet, taking care of the rest of it, I don't care about.
Well, yeah, no, that's, because a yard's actually 3 feet, so let's just leave it at that.
That's right. Our meter.
Yeah, that's good, I mean, we probably do need to tighten that up to where we know exactly what, and I don't have an
I don't know how other jurisdictions might handle this. Maybe searching around to other, places to see how they handle that might be useful.
Do we need to be exact on that, do you think, though?
I think Martha was looking at building, the IRC was mentioning when you have built a home and to get certificate of occupancy, you have a certain amount that you have to have landscaped or covered or strawed or what have you, and he was wanting to speak the same, but I don't necessarily.
Any area of normal routine maintenance around the home with their.
But like when you build a home, you got all that mud and everything, and before he's gonna let you in there, you're gonna be seed and straw.
Yep.
But that's not necessary. I'm not gonna have a problem in property maintenance with a brand new home.
No.
It's gonna be established. That's my world.
So if you got rid of the yard definition here, for example, and you just said yard somewhere else, like you gotta mow your yard or whatever, I mean, yard in its ordinary usage might be the best way to go about doing that.
If we come up with a minimum footage that must be maintained back of the house on each side of the house, I mean, minimum you must maintain at least 15 feet off of each side of your house.
I would love this one. I got this brother got a divorce, and so she took my lawnmower, man. And my boat and everything. It was so funny. She got all the good stuff, the chainsaw. So my boy is cutting swatches through his yard to his front door, to his garage, and it's checked. But he ain't mowing the whole thing. He ain't doing it.
Well,
he's going to, but I mean, it's just hysterical what reality. People are like, well,
I see a lot of stuff.
well, I got 50 feet in front of my house, but the rest of it, it's crazy. People are funny.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, sir. What I was referring to about the yard is the building codes. What we have in the building codes is the yard is considered 50 foot around the perimeter of the house, or to the property line, whichever one comes first, is basically what it says.
Well, yeah, then that would be the technical definition that should be in there, right?
Well,
No.
The issue is you might run into like a pasture or something, be a fence near like some cow field or.
I got an acre and a half, and I'm gonna measure out 50 feet, and I'm not gonna take care of the rest of it.
Okay.
See what I'm saying, Barry?
Yeah. Well,
So then I'm gonna have a mess down to the street, but my 50 feet in front of my house, which is not much further than this room here, I'd say maybe another 15. That's all I'm gonna take care of. That ain't cool if I got a neighbor who's taking care of their stuff.
Well, maybe the frontage, to the beginning of the property up to the entrance to the home, that should be kept, no matter how.
Of course.
Yeah, how long it is. So, something like that, and reasonable amount around, I don't know the language yet, but, around the home.
all right, Bruce. Thoughts on this one?
Well, I don't know how you specify a specific amount, because my son lives over on Park. His lot isn't 250 feet across.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start saying 250 feet, it's like, his lot isn't 250 feet deep.
Yeah.
So,
You make it a ratio?
yeah, I was gonna say that. That's more in line with.
This is a big thing for me though, the grass. So if we start minimizing how much.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea, a ratio, a percentage of that property that must be maintained. You own 20 acres and, within replacement agriculture, you've got a percentage. If you're gonna do it, and keep it equitable, as we say.
I mean, when you build, your zoning tells you exactly how much house you can put on so much acre,
Right.
So why not just do the same thing with maintenance of?
Being me, I'm driving around and this guy's got so much on this side, and this guy's got so much over here. This guy don't cut his grass down to the street and it looks like crap, but his percentage is met. This guy is doing a good job. What I need is just cut your grass like your neighbors, make it look nice when you're driving down. I don't want to be thinking of 250 feet.
Well, I understand.
I don't think it's realistic. It's a nice idea.
You don't wanna break out the percentages charts and see if.
No, man, I don't think, dude, your yard looks terrible. And And if it's a big yard,
Yeah.
it's a big yard, so just cut it around your property line, so if your guy wants to cut his down, he can cut it down and you can give me 50 feet, and I can see what you're doing, your house looks good up there, it's a big old fat house, but you don't wanna mow all day, so I get it.
What language do you think?
We don't really need to even address it, you don't know when I sent you a letter that please cut your grass?
Just leave it up to discretion?
Yeah,
I mean, leave it out water steward, so I know what a yard is when I see it.
you got a 15-inch minimum.
Well, I'd be willing to take anything like that out of there. I'm all about simplicity, so, yeah.
Me too, I don't want,
You thinking of keeping this pretty much the same way it is?
no,
No?
I'm
Okay, so, but, you know, it says here in all directions of the property line, I think whatever we do, we should require that, you know,
But
the
this is not,
frontage.
this is not a code, this is a definition. See, this is where we get screwed up in here, we're trying to make a definition of code.
Yeah.
We're just saying, look at the yard.
So when we find that word within a code, we know what the
Yeah,
heck's
but
going on.
when I tell you you got high vegetation, grass and whatnot, you know what that is.
Well, I
Not your
understand, but I'm
yard.
saying, if the person ever wants to challenge anything that you have to say, if there's nothing written down, nothing codified, then you have no leg to stand on. Besides, it's subjective because you thought it was too high.
No, it's 15 inches. It's about 15 inches.
So you want to get rid of this last.
That's it, and that's it.
I like it. I say it do exactly what you're thinking. But, you know,
Strike the last
Anytime you take subjectivity out of something, the better off it is. So,
Strike the last sentence? Is that what
all of it.
All of it? Okay,
leave it out.
yeah. Because if it's just a definition, you know, the word shall,
Yeah, we'll
you
come
shall
forward.
do this is not a definition, it's a directive, right?
I mean, everybody can figure out what you just look at the dictionary, what a yard
Yeah.
is, you know, or,
Yeah.
it's yard's a yard.
I mean, Todd keeps going, I'm gonna have to buy him supper tonight.
Oh, heck, yeah. Where did we, let's see where I got to.
Yeah, man.
We got to 11 last time. How about that part about the farm? Terry, his dad owned the farm when he was a kid, and he said some of these bush hogs are 20 foot wide or 8 foot, 14. What do y'all think about around the farm? That's on number 2 of page 10. I'm flexible. Everybody seems to do 2 laps around. It looks like about 50 feet to me already. I'm not having a problem with it, but if y'all want to feel like you're pulling it in, it's fine.
I mean, if you're not having a problem with it,
If you're gonna have a problem, evidently what's there's working, right?
Right, but I mean, this is how far, come on guys, y'all know that, what is that, 15 feet to the wall?
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. If you can't tell somebody is making an effort to cut the grass and show me their property line
Yeah.
back this way,
let me ask you, this might be a really dumb question, but I'll ask it.
I know you are.
Does the county, do they employ people right now that go there and cut the utility easement on county roads?
I don't know, but they don't cut the ditch.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because if we already have people go out there and cut that, are you asking for the person to cut from utility easement into their yard another
No,
feet?
here's what I'm asking.
Or is it just
It's like,
feet from the asphalt?
no, like, your new neighborhood, within the last 5-10 years, got some nice fat houses here, but hey, I'm Farmer Joe and I still want to keep my farm, I ain't selling out. However, my property line is right here, I'm gonna give you 50 feet so you can't cry about snakes, rattles, you know, rats and whatnot. I'm gonna show you that I'm giving you respect, but I'm not cutting all this because I may be feeding my cows with this here.
Sure.
That's it, it's not down to the road that I'm worried about, it's the side.
Well, 20 feet.
And I
15 feet, like you said, whatever,
I know, that's why I'm open. Y'all tell me if you want me to pull that in, that's fine with me. Work it. I mean, that's a
15
lot.
feet sounds great to me, that shows.
I think 20 feet.
Well, at least
is
if
okay.
you got the 15 inches and 15 feet, just keep it all.
Yeah.
It's easier to remember that way, dude.
I'm good, I'm open.
That's the rule of 15, man.
15?
15, okay, that's the agreement,
Alright,
okay.
let's see. We talked about, percentage of state of dilapidation. Is are about buildings and structures in violation because the exteriors and whatnot have not been maintained. And we just kind of rolled around with that, wasn't sure. And I don't have really, the expertise in that is going to come from Marshall.
What page are you on?
11. Because I'll roll around, I'll say, hey, that thing looks bad, and it's gonna have to be real bad before I'm gonna say anything.
Well, now, look, I'm gonna show you this right quick. I had to go out, because I brought this up last time. I had to go back out and visit this property again, to do a final. This is not the subject house. This is their next door neighbor. Now, you got people who have put,
That's a hallway, isn't it?
well, yeah, but that's
No, man.
deteriorating wood, and you have to see inside the house.
That's very livable in the world I live in.
The only reason I said this is because we were talking about that, and by the definition or whatever, deterioration, it was talking about seeing inside the house.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you see right there.
10 years from a code violation letter right there.
You're right. The reason I bring that up is because, and you got folks that are trying to invest in their own property and make their house nice. But they won't ever see the value out of that house if we allow people that live around them. I understand you can do whatever you want on your own property. But if we're going to sit there and allow people just to do this, then that person who takes pride in theirs will never see the value in their property because their neighbors are going to look like this.
I agree, because they're poor and they can't.
Well, I'm not saying, no, that's not always it. It's a lot, but a lot of it's also lazy, and I just don't give a crap.
Well, I get that, Brian.
I agree. But that house there, I was like, well, that's a prime example.
Well, look at the grass. I mean, what I struggle with is you can't see that house because it hasn't been cut in 3 years, and we can't get nothing done because we can't find out who it is, but that's another scenario. But that's drama to me, to people who are next door to that, you know, who are on the commission, who are saying, why can't you do nothing with this house?
I think the question is, to what extent does the dilapidation pose a risk to the health and safety of people who live there or the public at large?
Yeah, so if we look at this house right here, exactly how much of this house has got, you know, that wall,
One thing we
has
decided,
got to look like that
we need to be able to
before
assign
we say,
a percentage of deterioration that would trigger an action. So I think that's what we came up to last time. One thing we can't do is we can't let people decide that they found some cheap land over here where there's some houses. I'm gonna put a $3 million house over here, and I'm gonna force everybody to pay sure that's not the standard.
And it's happening too much. This is happening too much because they don't see that.
Correct. While
They just see the land and build, and then they go, I want you to get rid of that.
correct.
Like building next to the airport, complaining about noise.
Yes.
It's very suburban.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a little bit of an edit suggestion on this one, okay? So in my mind, and I wrote it out here because I read every one of these pages, it would say, buildings and structures, the same way it does, shall be considered in violation of healthy and safety standards if, and then I would add after the if, under the definition of blight, you know, and keep it the same way, and to the point where it says, in such a manner as to prevent them from, and then I would insert further deterioration. That's all I would do with that. What do you think?
We're putting too much on the definition of blight.
Well,
We're talking about roof systems and drains and gutters and everything hanging
Okay.
down, and like Brian was showing, you got a hole in the wall. Why ain't you fixing the hole in the wall?
where does that meet blight? Somewhere along the way, if it gets too
They
bad.
don't have to.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a dilapidation.
Well, then the second part of this, just add the word further. Prevent them from further deterioration. Okay?
What do you
Just-
mean?
Here, where it says, the exteriors of such structures are, let's see, are not maintained in such a manner as to prevent them, oh, you got further.
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't in the first one, I see you put it. Never mind. When did you do this?
Just now.
It's before you got it.
last time, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm proud that I had
There's
these
gonna be change
suggestions.
next time, yeah. So,
Pay more attention.
anybody got an idea on percentage, lower, better? Brian kinda makes me feel like the 30% is enough, but I don't know. I mean,
I'd like to see it.
I'm gonna tell you, y'all need to hire somebody for me.
25%, because, I mean, if you're looking at a quarter of a structure.
Look at Brian's picture and tell me what you think that is. What's on that picture?
Oh.
Well, you can sell down to whoever you want to, but I mean, you got on that wall and then down over here, I mean, that's wood, that's rocky wood.
Yeah.
That thing's gonna start falling, that board's gonna start falling in, if that wood is just exposed and keeps rotting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wildest got windows in a roof, and he cut the grass. I know, dude, you want me to send you some, I need to send you some pictures, Brian.
Oh, I see it, I drive all over the county,
You do?
seeing these properties, having appraised properties. And I look at some like, dear
It's
Lord.
sad, man.
You know, I go inside some of them where the floor joists are just completely rotted out, so the floor is
Oh,
sloped
yeah?
towards the crawl space.
I've got a lady living in one right now, only thing holding it on is the Chester doors.
I walked in the house and it was like
Down under the house.
It was like that, everything was falling into the.
Yeah.
I've been to many of them, that's,
But, and so see, in my world, we have a hard time, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, we got a lot of stuff on houses, dilapidation and stuff, and I wrote it in there. But I don't know when can do that.
yeah.
I mean, what I do now, I'll do 7, 8 a day, maybe, and this could open up Pandora's box. But we also know that Barry says when you're gone, or maybe we get some more money allocated, and there's 3 of us,
Yeah.
it needs to be where y'all like it to say.
But it needs to be written out, we don't wanna add more
Not,
to your plate, but if it's written down,
yes,
if that time ever does come across, and wants to challenge it, you can always just point, hey, it's in the.
see, I hear exactly what you said, my perspective is that house, at least he's cutting the grass, and somebody can live in there.
Now, the 30 to 40 to 45%, I'm like him, you said a quarter, that's a lot of it. What I would say is, of one wall, like you just see the front of that house, is it,
So you're more
is it
like,
10 to 20%?
you're more like 10%?
Of what you see, obviously, if I had a whole daggum house, that'd be.
We gotta be mindful, some of these folks that live out in these places, they own that property, that's where they choose to live, and they might not have the money to make these repairs, and so we can't be putting an undue hardship on them, as long as they're mowing their grass, and they're doing things that they can do, we don't want to be.
Not completely understand that. I mean, I don't ever want to tell somebody, and that's why I hate about this a little bit, I don't want to tell somebody what they have to do with their own property. That is like exactly, I can't stand it. Yep, but at the same time, you gotta have something written down, you gotta have some kind of law.
Question is, how would you prove this? If I were to take something like this to court saying, this house, say 25% is the number.
Okay.
It's 24% dilapidated.
Well, that's easy.
I mean, how would you even?
We'd have an assessed value of the home, and then have what it would cost to make repairs, and if that value, it was more than 25% of the value of the home, then they're.
Okay, so where we gonna get money to have those assessments and appraisals?
You all have a program, Bruce could pop that in his little computer about 2
There you go, I can tell
Well,
you.
you got Xactimate? You have Xactimate program?
No,
I don't have, I've actually used Xactimate a lot back in the
I
day.
did too.
So they're gonna have a percentage here, it's gonna be, to prove this, like I have to tell the judge, okay, it's 25%, and here's why, and this is how we arrived at it.
And so what we're basing this on is visual, right? Now, there may be more than 25% of damage, but we're talking about just what we can see, If I was to look in there, there's gonna be rotted floor, all kinds of stuff, but go ahead, Mark.
Mr. Chairman, I like for y'all to, consider putting something in there as to who makes the determination, whether it's, whatever y'all can agree on, whether it's a home inspector or a government inspector or something, somebody's gonna have to make that determination. Yeah, just put it in there that upon his judgment to hire
That's for you to do.
That's true.
So
I ain't gonna get shot. I got
Everybody's got a gun.
in order to do that, then we'd have to be in our office, that you'd have to have a program where you could pop, this is square footage on that house, this is what I see in damage, does this come up to, I mean, you know, if we're gonna assign a percentage. So, I mean, you're right, in order to assign a percentage, we've got to be able to prove that, so,
And the burden of proof is on,
the people that are,
beyond a reasonable doubt, you know, because it's a criminal charge for not abiding by these regulations.
So, without assigning a percentage, what could you use to justify an action?
I guess I could say something, I'm gonna loosely say it, the health and safety of occupants deemed.
Things that it may be in jeopardy or
Health
just
and
reaches from the outside, whatever you.
Something like that, I don't know.
I think that you would almost have to leave it that broad in order to keep you from having a lot more work on your plate. But that'd be a steep question there, in my opinion. What would you suggest?
So what's, like,
There's gotta be a standard.
one of the issues we have that's ongoing that's not the same but similar is on Dobbin Pike, where this guy without permit built this whole two-story thing.
Yeah.
It never was permitted, it never was inspected, it never had electrical inspection or plumbing, and it's even over on the neighbor's property. See, this is, I don't know if we would even kick this provision in on that, whether it's dilapidated, it is dilapidated, and there's no stairs and all kinds of code
The
violations.
neighbor's got a cloud on their deed. I mean, that's bad.
She's quiet, she doesn't scare this dude. Anyway, it's getting to go to court, and it's taken 3 years though. Okay, so that's what that looks like, and hopefully we're gonna be able to get that demolished. But when you
hope.
yeah, and you don't, like this right here, we're hoping that we can, inspire the owner to repair something that they're not repairing on their own time frame. But, yeah, but it's in here, it doesn't have to be in here, but it is in here.
I think that
Can y'all help me look at that?
it probably needs to be in there, and if we stick with the percentage, I mean, there has to be, like I said, a standard.
Or else you're gonna get the person on this end of the street and say, well, I'm not as bad as the person on that end of the street. There's gotta be
You're right.
there's gotta be a floor.
I look at foundation walls, not in disrepair, show any visible signs of cracks. I see cracks all the time in foundation walls that don't carry through to the CMU foundation or, you know, don't carry through the brick veneer, but it's a crack, so it says visible signs of cracks.
The issue I have with
deal with that.
percentages is that, this can be applied to a variety of something like how tall the grass is, and, you know, things like that. I mean, I don't know, if grass is tall, that's tall grass. If it's dilapidated, that's a dilapidated building.
So we do go back to the 15, the rule of 15. If you got more than,
More than 15?
no, if you got more than 15 feet of damage, linear feet on these exterior walls or whatever, then that could be considered, use the rule of 15.
I'm not the boss, y'all are to decide.
Or I don't know, Marshall, you'd be the one on that. How would you determine?
I was just thinking, there's, wording in the International Property Maintenance Code. We didn't adopt the Property Maintenance Code because we stick with the Health and Safety Code. But the Property Maintenance Code is basically the same thing as the Health and Safety Code, and it's used across the United States. The reason that we shied away from the Property Maintenance Code because it addressed all of the dilapidations and the concerns on the outside building and on the inside building. We didn't want to get involved in that, so we put it on the shelf and we stayed with health and safety. But there's wording in the Property Maintenance Code, and this ain't quite answering your question, but there's wording in the Property Maintenance Code that allows an inspector to get on the property to do an evaluation. Let me look at that and see what it says, and I'll get back with you on that part, as far as having access to the property to be able to determine what kind of percentage there is of deterioration.
And I don't know if it would be a percentage or, like I said, even if you went to feet or inches of exterior that were down, or some kind of measurement where you could, where it wouldn't be, because percentages could create a problem, but we can always, feet are easy to determine, or,
Y'all wanna think about it and come back?
Well, yeah, 'cause I'm thinking, visible damage, I'm thinking about sway back roofs and stuff where people in a commercial structure have removed a load-bearing wall.
Yeah.
The ridge beam is sunk, the rafters spread, and you're going, who did this?
yeah, I think maybe if Marshall can look at that and see if there's language that we could use just out of that.
Okay. I've got a note here on page 12 regarding if you've had a fire, it should any building and or structure suffer damages due to fire, the owner or persons in control shall remove all refused debris, charred and partially burned lumber and material from the premises within 30 days after the fire department and or insurer of the property have completed their scene investigation. Started 30 days too quickly.
I think so. Well, I mean, you're talking about the area we live in, you can't get a contractor in most cases, especially on a new project, to even think about it before 30 days. I mean, that's just.
And that devastated these people.
Yeah, so I say we expand that out a little bit if we can.
You know, tell me.
60.
60.
I wanted to go back to number 5 here on page 11. Okay, so something doesn't speak international fire code. I don't believe we've adopted that, have we, Marshall?
No, sir.
Just break out the.
Where are you at, Bubba?
Over here on number 5 on page 11. I'm not sure which ones, I know we haven't adopted the fire code, but I'm not sure there's any other ones on it that are not applicable to us on that list.
International Fire Code, International Fuel and Gas Code, all that right there?
No, I mean, I don't know about the other codes, but I know we haven't adopted the International Fire Code.
Okay.
Are there any other on that list, Marshall, that we
That's
haven't?
the only one.
That's the only one?
We use what, the state fire marshal's code or something, we don't.
The fire departments use the NFPA code, which is the Different Family of Codes, National Fire Protection Agency, the building codes. But the building codes, people, they use NFPA 80, no, it's a 70, which is electrical code. So that's why the NFP National Electrical Code needs to stay in there.
Yeah.
But like, Steve says, the International Fire Code probably should be, omitted.
Good catch, Steve.
We were just talking about it yesterday for something in the commission, so that's the only reason I happen to know that.
All right, Todd, so we move that to 60, everybody think so?
I'm looking at 13. Page 13 is number 15, where it talks about the opinion of building officials and imminent danger, blah, blah, blah. And then the next page on 14 up there, it says employ the necessary labor materials to perform the required work as expeditiously as possible. The legal counsel of this jurisdiction shall institute appropriate action against the owner of the premise or owner's authorized agent where the unsafe structure is or was located for the recovery of such costs. I got a question, would that be in the form of a lien, or what would that be?
Read this again.
I would assume so, because we got it somewhere else.
I think in lien
Yeah,
should be one of your,
Yeah.
should be a part of the solution to reclaim it. Because if that's the only solution, you'll never see it. I mean, so many people gonna live in the house until the day they
I
die.
don't know.
Now, you'll be out all this money, the county or whoever's
The
got all
county's
this
gonna
money, and
Yes.
now once they pass away, maybe.
Now, wait a minute, clear me up on that. So this saying, if you come out and you determine that house was looking at was unsafe, and I refuse to do anything, that the county would step in and do those repairs, and,
Yeah, it sounds ugly, don't it?
boy,
Somebody gets shot all day.
yeah.
But there is if we keep going down through here, and I don't know which one it is, but it says we can't do those if somebody's occupying it.
Okay, so we can't, only if it's vacant?
Yes. I can't remember which one of it is, but.
Go ahead, Mark.
I would recommend only if it's vacant or if it's a life safety concern.
Yeah, maybe, like, but you're right, only if it's, life is in
only if the structure is vacant and there's a life safety issue.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened? Have we ever done that? I was gonna say, I've never heard of such thing, but okay.
But then it says at the beginning of 15, danger to the occupants of a building, but we just said it's not occupied.
Maybe
Before they said
a little bit.
light, emergency, or whatever.
If it's vacant
Imminent danger
or
to
life.
public or occupants of the building.
Well, we're gonna switch it to, if life is in imminent danger.
It's a life safety issue or if it's vacant.
Can somebody give me an example of light?
It can be anywhere from a gas leak or a structure that looks like it, the load path is getting ready to, collapse on, an occupant, something similar to that.
So it looks like it's about to collapse.
Yeah, a deck,
Get a-
like a deck attached to a house, maybe getting, detached from the house, looks like it's getting ready to collapse.
I think this falls off number 14, where it talks about imminent danger and structure endangers life. Starts talking about vapors, toxic fumes, and this kind of comes in here as like, just talking about it some more. When I was looking at this, 2 years removed, I wondered if some of this could be combined.
Consolidated, yeah.
Yes, but, it's very, you're trying to be specific, so if you have to do something, this is what it says. But, it says, the word that kind of lets this happen is imminent danger. And who's qualified to say with imminent danger?
That's just it, but there's no definition that I've seen in there for imminent danger.
And who would deem it to be an
Building official.
building official? Okay.
I just don't like going on somebody else's property.
Yeah, that's a little bit hazy, it's kind of like eminent domain.
Yeah.
You don't like the word imminent.
I appreciate you come fixing my house.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I'm not gonna pay for
And
it.
at the same time, the taxpayers can get hung out to dry on a bunch of repairs. It's not, probably not gonna happen, but once
I don't
you,
know if it's eminent domain, but it's something else.
Yeah.
what was it, Steve?
It's not eminent domain, but it's something else.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna,
Is there something in the international building standards that you have that addresses issues like this?
Very similar. If the opinion of the building official or the representative that there's imminent danger, then we can put a stop work order or cease and desist or vacate the placard or whatever we feel necessary.
This is common nationwide.
Yeah.
Most jurisdictions have similar language, you'd say.
Yes.
So would it be the next step, hiring like a structural engineer to go out to the house? Is that what is that the step?
Yes, yes. The first thing, that if it's imminent danger, in the opinion of the building inspector, they would try to contact the owner first. If they can't contact the owner, then they want to adopt the building code, have the authority to vacate the building, and then again, contact the owner and have it evaluated by engineer or a fuel gas technician, somebody, whatever the threat may be, and they can get it mitigated and allow them to come back in.
and so, as we're,
That's all through the building codes.
but as we're compiling these reports and having all these engineers, that cost involved in that is going back towards this even if, let's just say,
This in the.
we start this procedure and it's found that it's structurally safe.
No, that's actually
homeowner,
coming out of
landowner incur the cost
University
of
of
those.
Kentucky.
I didn't know that's probably like maybe
Yeah.
some sort of
I've been down that
somewhere.
path before.
I completely
good. I
trust
like
your
that.
ability to make that decision. It's not you
That's
or
part
you
of
that I'm worried about.
environmental health
It's
and
20 years
safety.
down the road, and y'all are sitting on a
Yeah,
beach
they came up
somewhere,
with that
everybody else
definition.
is, that's where so,
Todd,
Want to think on that one?
I got an,
man, that's,
I came up with some.
I'm gonna get smarter people than I am, these guys.
What if, in the opinion of the building official, conditions exist that could present an imminent danger to the public?
Could it?
That conditions exist that could present an imminent danger.
Twice it doesn't exist that are an imminent danger to the public, you know.
No, but could, that's because you wanted to know, how do you know what's imminent, right? So if it looks like it's something that could be imminent already or develop into something imminent and danger to the public, we take out the word occupants because it's supposed to be a vacant structure, right? So would that be enough of wiggle room language?
It makes it bigger.
Yeah, it does.
It makes me be able to go on your property.
Yeah, I mean, sort of like the life safety, you know, type of.
Todd's all over your private property.
Come on, do it.
I just like something, in my mind, I like something that, okay, bigger, you could make it bigger or smaller, but if it's not too tightly defined, right, it leaves itself to some reasonable determination.
Bruce and Brian, can you go on and dig into that one deeper before the next meeting, see if we can find a better.
Well, it's just a thought.
You want to
Just
share
a
what
thought.
you had there? Or?
Sorry, Todd, I don't have any good ones today.
Yes, looked up what the definition of imminent danger was according to the Environmental Health and Safety Department at UT. And they said, imminent danger is a situation that is likely to result in any of the following. 1, death within 30 days following an injury or exposure to hazardous material. Immediate severe injury or health hazard resulting in loss of limb, loss of vision in one or both eyes. Cessation of respiration or heartbeat, severe loss of blood that's life-threatening. Loss of consciousness, heat stroke, permanent loss of function of body part or significant loss of function. An atmosphere defined as immediately dangerous to life or health, as defined by NIOSH. So that's
And all of these are pre-existing.
other hazards and situations as determined by a hazard analysis conducted by a trained professional.
Y'all are trained professionals.
We're gonna play fetch again, okay?
But we're still talking about going on property to determine dilapidated, that's what we're still,
Yeah,
well,
well,
not necessarily imminent danger, but.
correct.
But it could, you know, people walk in, their kids go there or something, they see an abandoned building, and they wanna go take pictures or tag it or something. It presents, if the conditions exist, it could present a danger to the public.
It's an attractive nuisance.
Attractive
Yeah.
nuisance, well, that's what my wife called me.
We get to put placards on there. We have in the past once.
I like a lot of those definitions, though. I like a lot of that. That seems very much what we're trying to get at here with that.
Yeah.
I was fond of them.
Yeah, there you go.
Scott, what are your thoughts on that section?
I just think we're just trying to, well, it's an area that I don't have much, it's such a small percentage of what I do.
Yeah.
But Luby Brown was the only one that we've gotten tore down, but it was just a little shack thing, and it was just falling down so much, but it was attractive nuisance to kids at the church. It was right there. I mean, it didn't take a rocket science to figure it was all falling down, dude. It was just falling down, but the door was open, there was a piano in there, and some pictures and magazines where kids,
Yeah.
it's got to go. It's gonna demolish it, and we did. But it takes so long, but you know, it was imminent danger. Anybody in there, you might have stepped or pushed one pole and the whole thing's coming down.
Oh, yeah, sure. We've all seen that.
Yes.
And while I completely get nervous when we start talking about taking control of somebody's property, I understand there is a need, and obviously it's very, very rare in this county.
Yes.
Do you feel like the language that's in here already is sufficient, or should we modify this?
Well, I just wanted to, you know, my question was, has anybody got anything else other than a lien? You know, for recovery of any of the monies that we spent because we don't have any to
Do we
spend?
pursue other avenues before we go straight for the lien? I mean, do we?
Yeah, I know, what could that look like? I mean, I don't know. I was just,
Well, you know how slow things are with the legal system. We can get a warrant, so it takes forever for that.
Correct.
You do their sheriff's
see, and I
office.
don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but Steve can back me up on that. You know, I call him, man, this dude, I got one place that's so crapped up you can't imagine, dude. And getting a hurry up warrant on it was about 5 months. That's a hurry up. I've got some that we, No, man.
They still have resources.
Gosh. This guy told me over there, I talked to the magistrate, he said, Todd, we issue over 10,000 warrants a year. And I said, what? And he told me the population, and do the math, it's like every fourth person is getting a warrant. But I can't believe that, you know, they're saying like traffic, divorce, all this kind of stuff, domestic violence, theft, whatever. I had to believe him. He started going down the chart, and he was talking to me. I was like, how come we can't get these things served? I don't want to be disrespectful, but he's like,
I meant to print this out before I came to this meeting, and I don't want to read the whole thing, but it's something, and off topic, posted about this department. I'm sure you're familiar with Ms. Little. Well,
she's slamming us.
yeah, and which addresses my concerns and all this. And
Say it.
well, I'll let you I'll let you read this and we'll talk about it after. But don't let me forget.
Okay.
Because it's a perfect example why I think we're sitting here being as thorough as we are on this. So.
Yeah. Is she somebody that we've worked with?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's somebody that
Little? Doesn't ring a bell with me.
yeah. I just although it was posted in a public platform, I don't really want to expose anybody's name sitting here, but
It's all right if it's me, dude. I'm here.
no. We're on the old podcast here. So I want to protect her name from the public, but I do definitely want you to take a look at it and see what your response is. But now we can go back to this.
How far y'all want to go?
What time is it?
Okay. 6:20.
I think we probably ended right here for the day if y'all are good.
Okay.
You've got my mind going with all this stuff now that I didn't bother to look into.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. We'll stop on.
Y'all hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.